In the recent New World video, Fortune Eternum, the developers tried to tell us why Cross-Realm isn't coming until summer and why it might feel a little bit slow. Now, I will leave a link to the video in the description if you want to go and check it out. I'm going to be giving you my interpretation of it. Some things they haven't said that I sort of am trying to read in between the lines of. For example, I sort of got the feeling that they were saying the game wasn't designed with this in mind from the start, and obviously they're not going to come out and say that. Now, Cross-Realm at the moment is scheduled for summer, and it is going to be just Outpost Rush at first, but they do say that once they've done it for Outpost Rush, other things might come after that, mainly PvP Arena. And then they talk about other areas where Cross-Realm might be like used, and I don't really know what they're talking about there. Now, the explanation itself is relatively simple, right? I'm sure it's more complicated than what, you know, even they're talking about in the video. Effectively, whilst a lot of the game is done on Amazon Web Services, which they do say is actually quite good, it gives them a head start in some areas, a lot of the game is still on the shards or silos, basically different parts of a server or different servers that can't communicate between each other. Now, I may technically get this wrong. It is what it is, right? I'm no developer. And the issue is that it basically might increase complication in terms of the messages that are going back and forth. It could create possible duplication errors because maybe, you know, I'm going from one server to a different server, and if you just time it right where you maybe transfer one item to another person, maybe that would duplicate. All those kind of issues could occur, right? And that I completely understand. They need to make sure that that doesn't happen. They give an example, for example, that the chat messages, well, think about how many chat messages are involved. Let's say you have a central server where the Outpost Rush is being played, and let's say you have 40 people because you have 20 people on each side and maybe they're all on different servers. Well, now you have all of the chat messages from all of those servers going to this Outpost Rush server and then going back. That obviously could be chaos, especially when you consider you have people like logging in, people logging out, friend requests, etc. Like, there's a lot of systems in place that, you know, are a bit more complicated than just, hey, make it cross-realm, right? Like, it's obviously not that simple. However, regarding the chat, they did say one thing that I was like, hey, that doesn't actually sound that bad to me. They said it could be quicker if there was no chat. And I'm like, yeah, just make it so there's no chat. Like, I actually think that's not a terrible idea. So what I would suggest is that maybe when everybody got logged into the Outpost Rush like server, you just appeared offline on your actual server. Like, to me, that would be completely fine. And if there was no chat in the chat box, like, I just wouldn't care. Maybe it would be handy if you could talk between your army and the enemy and stuff like that, but I don't think I'd really be that bothered about it. So yeah, like, they said that would speed them up. Please do. I think a lot of people might agree with me. It's not that big of an issue if I can't talk to my company whilst I'm in Outpost Rush. Like, if anybody really needs you, there's Discord and stuff like that. Yes, obviously it's not ideal, but that's why you fix it in summer and you just release it quicker. I know that's not going to happen, but I actually wouldn't mind a couple of compromises to speed this up, whatever they might be, because I think cross-server is actually super important to the health of some servers, basically. If you're on a very small populated server, not being able to Outpost Rush is very, very painful, and that's causing like mass player migrations, and I think it's very frustrating for a lot of players. Servers get merged, servers get locked, servers die, and it's just a whole thing that I think would be very drastically helped by cross-realm. I've gone on record talking about how great I think cross-realm will be for the game because I think it just needs it, even though I actually do like the idea of like a server being a server, but let's not talk about that here. So for me, I actually wouldn't mind some compromises. Maybe that's not to everybody's taste, but I actually think it would possibly be good to compromise and get it released quicker. Not in terms of dupes. Obviously, we don't want dupes and exploits and that kind of stuff, but chat, yeah, I could throw that away without even like blinking. The way I sort of envision cross-realm working anyway isn't to just automatically put people across servers. I think what you'd want to do is maybe have like, I don't know, a 5-minute queue where it just tries to match you against people on your server. Failing that, it then opens it up to maybe 2, 3, 4 servers or what have you. Like World of Warcraft, they have, I forgot what they were called, like battle groups, I think, where it's like there are some servers that are together and other servers that are together. And that was okay. And maybe that's the way New World could do it because then there's less messages back and forth and all that kind of good stuff, right? So yeah, for me, I would take some compromises. As I said, I would take a delay in the queue, basically only enable cross-realm if you're really struggling. That would still help out those quieter servers, right? And it would basically mean that some OPR matches are actually just your server, which then doesn't need all the cross-realm architecture anyway. So you could actually still have the chat. I don't know, like, I'm not a developer. They explain it in like detail, but like probably simple enough for somebody smarter than me to understand. Just I'm not that smart, but you know, they explain it well enough. And I understand obviously there is complication. It does make sense that like a lot of the chats now are gonna have to go back and forth. A lot of the information about items gonna have to go back and forth. There's a lot of risk involved. But for me, I think Trading is already disabled, so maybe that helps the lack of exploits and dupes and stuff like that. Basically, you could, I'm guessing you could just put a limitation on what items can go in the storage in the Outpost Rush. I'm pretty sure that already exists. I don't think you can just put like weapons in there or anything. So there's a lot of stuff that probably is already stopped. But yeah, I don't know. I would love to see it quicker. I understand the complications. A lot of people will still be saying like, oh well, World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy had it like ages and ages ago. And it's probably just because those games were designed with maybe this will happen at some point anyway. So why don't we design our server system with it in mind? It does sort of feel that New World was never designed with this in mind. It was always going to be like a survival game. The server was going to be the server, and there was never going to be any need to like talk between them. You can see that with the friends request, right? Your friends requests don't carry over from one server to another. So it feels like New World wasn't designed with it in mind, and now they have to take the time and make sure it doesn't break anything, which is sort of fine, but I would take the shortcuts. However, saying all of that, there is some positive stuff that it might lead to. They spoke about matching people with ELO or ELO in PvP Arena. So they talk about matchmaking and they give some examples what the matchmaking might entail. They say, well, one of them could be gear score. Gear score for me, I think you'd probably want to concentrate there on expeditions, right? That makes sense. And maybe to some extent PvP. But they mentioned that one matchmaking system might be ELO. And if you're going to have an ELO matchmaking system, then you pretty much have a ranked system just in the making, right? And I think that would be a very welcome like change to the game. So I think once we actually get Cross Realm in summer, things are going to get very exciting very quickly. But we just need that to happen as soon as possible. Well, we know it's not coming any sooner than summer. I love the fact that they're addressing this question, because as a layperson like myself, I look at that and I think, well, Cross Realm was probably an obvious thing that we would needed a year and a half ago, maybe even before the game actually came out. And really my question isn't, hey, why is it only coming out in summer? I understand that it's going to take time. My question is, why didn't you think about it earlier and start working on it earlier? That's my real question. Obviously, they're not actually going to answer that, because what is the answer? Oh, well, we didn't think about it, or it just perhaps wasn't a priority, which I guess is fair enough, but it does feel bad right now to have to wait till summer. If play numbers drop, like, to be fair, they're probably going to with the lack of content, then Cross Realm will become more and more important, and the voices shouting out for it will become louder and louder. But I think once we get it, I think it will be great for the game. If we're not going to see massive like server architecture rework, then Cross Realm is something we definitely need, and I'm excited to see it for expeditions and arena, and maybe we actually get ELO arena, maybe we get proper matchmaking with like roles, because they spoke about that as well. Should be pretty exciting. Just a quick note, I was going to stream on YouTube tonight, but I've decided not to bother because I'm releasing this video. But if you want to support the channel, becoming a YouTube member is the best way, and I might do a little follow over on Twitch tonight. Not made up the mind, I might just watch something with the wife. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have a most beautiful day, like and subscribe. Goodbye.